Hi all, welcome to Liquid Earth, I'm Age. Today we're looking at the DJI Mini 2 and all of the photo settings and modes. And we've got panoramas, we've got exposure bracketing, and there's also time-lapse too. To take a picture, it's very simple. Just make sure that the white shutter button is showing, and you can alternate between photo and video using this little button here. If it's white, you press the shutter and it takes a photo, or you can press this little button here, that's also the shutter button. On the bottom right are all your camera settings. By default, you'll be in auto. But there are a few parameters that you can change. The first one, if you're a RAW shooter, you can choose the format and you can choose to shoot in JPEGs and RAW. If you like to edit, then RAW is a good option. If you only do light editing, then you might want to keep to JPEGs. And you might want to change the brightness. There's an EV button, that stands for exposure value. And you can use the slider to brighten up or darken the images. If you go to the left, it's going to make the image darker, and you can go all the way up to 3 stops of light. And if you go to the right, it's going to make the image brighter. So this is useful if you've got bright skies and dark foregrounds. You can choose whether to expose for either the sky predominantly or the foreground. And if you want, you can lock the exposure value. Let's change this to minus 0.7. To do that, tap once on the screen, tap again and hold, and it's going to produce a little lock icon. You know that the exposure is locked, and now you can spin around. You can look at any light conditions, whether it's dark or light, and the exposure won't change. To unlock, you do the same again. You press once and then you press and hold and you're unlocked. You can also change the exposure by using the slider on screen too. So if you tap, you've got this little slider on the left and right, and you can see it corresponds to the slider down the bottom. So you can choose either method. A couple of other settings for you, and these are in the menu. So if we go to the 3 dots and choose the menu and go to your camera, there's a couple of settings you can change there. You've got the size of the photo. 4:3 is the standard, the default, it uses the full sensor size. That's my recommendation. But there might be times when you want to get 16:9, then you can choose that format too. That will crop the image a little bit, and you can do that in post if you want to. There's a histogram. So if I choose the histogram and have a look, you can see this little square icon on the screen that we can move around if we want to. And this distributes the pixels over a graph. If they're bunched towards the left, then that's far too dark, and if they're bunched towards the right, then that's far too light. So if we move our camera up, you can see the histogram changing. And if we move it down into the darker places, again you can see the histogram changing. And the same's true if you use the exposure value. So if we choose that and we slide to the darker part of the image, you can see that we're bunching up towards the left and over to the right hand side. Everything's far too bright now. We can see the pixels are bunched over into the right hand side. So you can use that as a guide. Next one up, we turn the histogram off, you've got the overexposure warning, and that puts these zebras on screen, and the zebras say this is too bright. It's going to be difficult to recover all of that in post-production. Again, if we press the EV control here and we move down on our sliders, we can see that those zebras will start to disappear, and now we know we haven't overexposed the image. Then you've got some overlays, so you can add grid lines. So we've got these diagonal lines that you can add. You've got the more traditional rule of thirds, makes it a little bit easier to compose if you're using the rule of thirds for composition. And then you have a simple center point here, so you can see where the center of the image is. And if you want to, you can overlay them all on the screen if you wish. Next, we've got white balance. Now you can change white balance in the Pro mode, which I'll show you after this. Let's come back now into our main screen and look at the Pro mode, because the Pro mode gives us a few more parameters that we can change if we want to. So we've got the same JPEG and RAW in the format, but now we've got our shutter speed. So if we press the shutter speed, we can manually change that, make it a faster shutter speed for a darker image, or we can make it lighter for a brighter image. So we're manually controlling the exposure now. And you've got ISO. Now if we choose ISO, if you're a beginner, try and keep it on 100. In daylight, that shouldn't be a problem. But if it's evening or getting dark, then you can choose a higher ISO. The higher the ISO, the more noise or grain that you're going to get in your videos and photos. So bear that in mind. Try and keep it at 100 where possible. And also on Pro mode, like we did before, you can change your white balance here. So we're on auto. If we turn it off of auto, we can start to make it cooler by going to the left, or warmer by going to the right. Now we're back into auto mode. Let's explore all the photo options. Pressing the little photo and video icon here. The default is in single. You press the shutter, you take a single picture. But then we have the AEB, automatic exposure bracketing. That will take 3 images, one at what the camera thinks is a good exposure, one darker and one lighter, so you've got the choice. And sometimes you can choose to keep it in this AEB mode and always have the choice afterwards to choose which brightness of image that you prefer. So if we take a picture now, that's quickly taken 3 images. If we press the play, you can see we've got a little icon in the bottom left hand side of the image, and if we press that, we should see 3 photos there. For some reason, and other people have complained about this as well, it sometimes only takes 2, and here you can see I've only got 2. They are at different brightnesses, but hopefully yours will be fine and it will be 3. I'm trying to work out exactly what that issue is. Next up we have the timer shots. This is time-lapse, and when you press the shutter, it's going to start to take the pictures, give you a countdown, and then continually try and keep in place and take pictures that you can add into a time-lapse afterwards. Next up we have the panoramas, and we've got quite a few options. So if we go into pano modes, the first one is sphere. We'll choose that, and then we're going to take a picture, press start, and now it's going to take 26 images, and it's going to make a ball image out of those. And you see this little countdown timer on the right hand side, tells you how long you have left. Once you're done, if you press play and choose your sphere, it will start to download that and stitch it together. It takes a few seconds. You can download the individual images from the SD card straight onto your computer if you want to, and then edit them yourself, or you can let the program stitch them all together and you've got it all ready edited, albeit in a smaller file. If you do it yourself, you're going to end up with a greater quality, larger file. And here we go, it gives you this cool little effect where it slowly rotates around. Next one is the 180 degree. In the 180 mode, it doesn't matter where your camera is pointing, it's going to reset that when it takes the picture. So for instance, if I look down a little bit and then we're in 180, I press start, the camera will come up level and start taking a series of 7 pictures in a straight line. Press play. There we go. If you want to save that to your phone, then choose the little share icon. You've got some options. You can put it on social media. The 3 little dots, I'm on an iPhone, and then I can save the image. And that's now stitched together and saved directly onto my phone. There's this little information button here as well where you can see the size. So it is quite a small size, 2.25 megabytes. And then you've got the wide angle. That's going to take 9 pictures. So we'll do the same again. Let's press start. Takes 9 pictures, 3 by 3. So let's press play. We'll take a look at that one. And there we have the wide image. That's all of the photo functions and modes on the Mini 2. Go out and give it a go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.